Just when I started thinking to myself, you know what? I haven't heard much from DC lately, and in terms of movies, that's okay. Justice League was, better, but no one cared about it if you saw the box office results. Now Comic-Con greets us to Shazam, a newest addition to the Justice League DC franchise. Not the new Batman film, no. Things are a little complicated in the Batman market, so instead we're going with Shazam, a movie so good they put the exclamation mark in the title. As in, does that mean if I go Shazam, I'm saying it wrong? Like I have to say Shazam! It's all about that emphasis. So first of all, this trailer reaction that I'm not gonna go break down every single shot of it, I'm just gonna give you my general thoughts on the trailer, my general response. I just rewatched it. I've seen the trailer, I think, 3 times now, so I get the gist of it. And first thing that comes to mind is this is a long trailer. In fact, they reveal a lot of the film in the first half of this trailer. In fact, I hope he doesn't get his powers in the first third of the film. I hope it's in the first 10 minutes. If they're willing to show this much of the comedy bits and this much of what Shazam will act like as a full-grown adult who is just Chuck, Chuck. They show how he meets his family. They show how he meets his best friend. They show him resisting wanting to become a foster parent. They show how he gets his powers, the thing he has to do to get his powers, what he looks like when he has his powers, and the trailer ends it with all of the powers he may have. So it seems like super strength, a little bit of flight capability, and bullet immunity. So they're showing off all these scenes that I really hope they're saving some of this stuff for the actual movie, right? It's a fairly long trailer, but anywho, trailers tend to spoil things a lot these days. What do I think of the actual stuff happening in the trailer? It's bizarre, especially when they put that DC logo at the beginning of this trailer, because when I'm thinking of the new DC extended universe, still the first snippet of video that I think of is Batman and Superman wanting to kill each other and Batman saying, "Do you bleed? You will." So hard cut from that to Shazam flossing, which, I've done flossing on the Talks channel, and I mostly do it because I think it's cringy, and that in return makes it funny. If you wanted me to get invested in a superhero, if you wanted me to think, haha, that superhero looks cool, you shouldn't show him doing something that I find cringy. I only floss like I only dab when I think that it doesn't really fit with the situation. This definitely does not fit with the situation, but, these trailers and these title cards are trying to make things look very epic, or my favorite part of the trailer is probably when he says, haha, I'm impervious to bullets, you're dead. And then it just hard cuts to a guy getting thrown out the window. That likely will end up being my favorite part of the movie, but it's the only part of the trailer that, I didn't get a physical chuckle while watching it, but in my brain I was like, that was kind of a good juxtaposition. But something tells me the guy who edited the trailer is probably going to do a better job than the guy editing the movie, and the hard cut won't be as significant. But of course I want to keep being cautiously optimistic, because here and there we will get that little gold nugget of DC film, like Wonder Woman, a marvelous movie that was not made by Marvel, but still very entertaining and luckily separated from the rest of the DCEU because it is a prequel, and I wish they would do that more often, whereas Shazam looks like DC was like, we messed up, we can't be serious, we need to be Marvel now, which is funny given Marvel just went the dark route with Infinity War. What world are we living in? Marvel's movies are serious, DC movies are getting comical. Like, Marvel films have always had a certain level of charm, but I think what I like about Marvel is they're able to pretty adequately balance this superhero can be cool, he can take things seriously, and he can have serious motives and metaphors that are told within the plot, like Spider-Man. Very funny character, has a lot of jokes in that movie, especially with Spider-Man Homecoming. Almost a borderline comedy, but that movie definitely knew at certain points to take itself more seriously and try to be a bit more legitimate and have villains that actually had good motives. Whereas DC here, it looks like they're going back to the round of essentially the villain of Justice League, which was Steppenwolf. Just like, oh, evil bad guy wants to be evil, and our superhero is just a little kid who likes to eat 7-Eleven food, which is accurate, but does that really mean we'll be able to have those serious moments in Shazam where we can take the character seriously and he can actually have some deeper messages? I honestly don't think so. I don't see this going the route of Wonder Woman, which definitely had some interesting ideas and battled some interesting ideologies, and honestly felt like it was in a Marvel film, because like Doctor Strange is a character that, I wasn't totally into the movie, but the character can be serious. There can be deep moments for Doctor Strange as a character, but they also knew how to make that movie funny, and they could make things comical if they needed to. Whereas DC seems to be way too far dark or either way too far funny. They're so focused on, we need to be more family friendly, we need to be more lighthearted, we need to be more uplifting and more joyful, so now we're going to make a hard comedy film with a comedic actor pretending to be a superhero, but he's really clearly actually a kid, so he's just going to act like a kid the whole movie. And we may get some light moments of seriousness, but for the most part, that's what I think the fundamental problem is with DC films. The characters in them aren't as relatable as many of the characters in Marvel are. And like I said, they have to go either all in on dark, like if they're gonna make a dark film, it's going to be dark through and through. There's barely going to be any jokes in it. I'm thinking of Dawn of Justice, and I'm thinking of how serious of a film that was. There was barely any comedy in it. There was a couple of snippets of comic relief, but for the most part, just dark, gloomy, scary movie. And now with Shazam, seems like a direct response to that, saying like, ooh, pretty colors. Look at the lightning. Look how cool this is. But again, I really wish the trailer wouldn't show so much of the movie as it did, because it seems like now that I've watched the trailer, I know the first 40 minutes of the movie, but I think that's what's caused a lot of people out there to not watch the trailers when they come out. It's not necessarily because I think it'll ruin the movie. I just think it'll make the first 30 minutes of the film very boring because this first trailer told me everything I'm going to see. And no doubt we're going to be seeing more trailers for Shazam as we get closer to its release date of April in 2019. I've been talking to a couple people about the Shazam trailer. Some out there are really excited for it. They think it looks funny. They think it looks a bit more interesting than, say, the Aquaman trailer, which if you want me to talk about my thoughts on that trailer, I will gladly do. It's much worse than this one, by the way. CG, hair, and everything, it just looks awful. But Shazam, at least, looks like they're going a little bit more low budget, so in the optimistic department, I could say I'm excited to see a movie that doesn't try to have a villain that takes over the whole world and shines a blue laser into the sky like every movie we've seen ever. Hopefully they can be a bit more independent with this one and not too much of a Shazam saved the entire world. They need a DC character that just kind of saves the neighborhood, essentially a Spider-Man version, so that he can focus on a smaller plot line, not one that affects every human being on Earth, but is a good character story. You don't need to potentially blow up the entire planet in order to make a good superhero film. Wonder Woman was good, but it was definitely going that route of Hades is going to destroy all of existence and Wonder Woman is the only person who can stop it. But it looks like from a couple snippets from the Wonder Woman sequel, we may be getting Chris Pine back, which is a kind of odd spoiler. But anyway, there's plenty of things we can talk about in that department. As Shazam looks as a film right now, I'm basically going to see it as a harmless, not too difficult to understand comedy. As in, I would likely place it equal to Ant-Man and the Wasp, perhaps a little bit lower, just because I'm very curious to know where Ant-Man and the Wasp takes place in the next Avengers film, given Infinity War was such a cliffhanger. Whereas after Justice League, I really don't care about a lot of those characters. Superman was incredibly hard to understand and difficult to relate to, and Batman is confusing. And they just kind of ended it on a happy note, and honestly, I wish they would have made an independent solo film about like The Flash or something we already know about but would like some more backstory on. Instead, they go the route of Aquaman, which seems to be doing a California surfer dude impression, but he can also talk to fish. Based on the trailer, I'm not interested in it. But instead, they're like, no, we're gonna introduce another new character. But I mean, at least I can be grateful that we're not being introduced to the Shazam in a Justice League movie, and they're trying to shoehorn another character introduction into a Avengers style movie that doesn't really have much leading up to it. Because I think we all know the great thing about Marvel's Avengers films is we learned about these characters before they cross over, before they meet up. Whereas DC did the opposite, started introducing characters like Aquaman and the Flash and Cyborg. We don't know anything about them, so they have to shoehorn every single character introduction into one film, and it makes it very crowded, and it makes trying to understand the story a lot harder. So I can be grateful that at least we're being introduced to Shazam in a trailer and not halfway through the next Justice League movie. So maybe DC's listening, maybe they can do better. I don't think this will make them better than Marvel, but it at least shows some interest. People are going to start to be like, oh, okay, that might be funny. I guess I'll go watch that. But it definitely is confusing alongside Do You Bleed? When you cut to just Batman being angry and punching Superman in the face and saying, I'm going to end you. You're never a god. You're never a man. To Shazam flossing for fun for the camcorder. That's in one universe, people. It's all in the same thing. But anywho, I'm very curious to hear your guys' thoughts on Shazam in the comments below. Do you think it looks good? Do you think it looks a little cringy? I could totally understand both points of view. So let me know what you think in the comments below. This has been another episode of Drew Reviews, and I hope you all have an excellent day. Take care.